Welcome to Rewatch and Rank. On this channel, we rewatch older TV shows, provide a summary and opinion on the episode before ranking each episode against each other. Today's episode is Solo Leveling, Season 1, Episode 5, A Pretty Good Deal. Episode in a nutshell is a brief reminder of what happens in the episode. So in this episode, Jinwoo is discharged from the hospital, where all of the nurses are shocked at the transformation that he's undergone over the few days that he's been there, and we then are revealed. No, his glow up is then revealed to us, where he has drawn on amazing abs, toned arms, he got a haircut, his facial features are more mature and sharper, his eyes have narrowed as opposed to being as round and adorable as they were before. And even his voice actor changed, or the voice actor is using a different voice. I don't know which it is. Either way, his voice sounds different, deeper. He's also gotten taller, as his sister notes when he gets home. And as he returns home, once he sees his sister off to school, gets a phone call from his landlord, who basically tells him that because he was in the hospital, his last month's rent hasn't been paid. Though the landlord is nice and offers an extension, he says he'll pay it. And then he goes on to an app for hunters and looks for an open spot on a raid. And he does, in fact, find one. Upon arriving, he sees that there is a group of hunters that know each other well. And then there's himself, who will be a porter as an E rank. And then Yujin Ho, who is a D rank, who is newly a hunter, decked out in extremely expensive equipment, really excited to be going into his first dungeon. And he immediately latches on to Sung Jin-woo because he's an E rank and wants to help him and protect him and such, which is really adorable as well. And they then enter the dungeon. At first they're confused because it's dark and there isn't really anything around. However, then they realize it's an insect dungeon. And they start to fight the insects, but something's odd because all of the insects have pre-existing injuries. And as they continue through, they eventually get to an area that has a bunch of webs and realize they're nearing the boss monster. Once they reach the boss monster, the team that's been working together previously makes excuses to leave the dungeon. And as they're leaving, they collapse the wall, blocking Sung Jin-woo and Yoo Jin-ho into the cave with the boss monster, which the explosion woke up. And the cliffhanger that we leave this episode on is the boss monster coming down, Yoo Jin-ho getting ready to fight it, while Sung Jin-woo basically flashes back to conversations about lizards and that this boss monster is not eliciting anywhere near the fear that the god statue did. So now that we've been reminded about what happened in the episode, we'll now rank the episode. As always, we start with the mostly objective ranking list, which uses the set values to determine the score, followed by the personal ranking list, which is based on entertainment value. So on our mostly objective rank values, we first have our multi-episode supporting character introductions, and this is the raid team that's been working together for a long time. We have Hwang Dun-suk, Cho Kyu-hwan, Gu Jun-tae, Lee Chul-jin, Min-suk, and Jin-suk. And they're each worth 2 points, which brings us all the way up to 12 points. And then we have 3 points for a multi-season supporting character introduction, which is Yoo Jin-ho, bringing us up to 15 points. And then we have the only negative was the lizards. And basically what lizards are people who use the fact that what happens in the dungeon stays in the dungeon to commit crimes against people in order to maximize their profits. In this case, We have the raid team that works together, but the quota for the dungeons that they go to is too extra. So basically, like lizards cutting off their tails, they lure people in, they then kill them inside the dungeon. That way, they only have to split the rewards between each other, not the new people every time. And they get away with it because before entering the dungeon, they sign a contract that they're not liable for anything that happens in the dungeon. And then dungeon accidents are frequent, and also what happens in a dungeon stays in a dungeon. They can't like prove anything because the dungeon disappears once it's beaten, taking the bodies with them. Therefore, they manage to get away with multiple murders and are essentially serial killers, or a gang of serial killers in the dungeons. And obviously, if you're doing that to people, that's very negative behavior. So -2 points seems fair, but that still puts us above 10. So this is yet another 10 out of 10 on our mostly objective rank value. So because when more than one episode has the same score, we just rank on episode order. Our list so far is in first, I'm Used to It, followed by If I Had One More Chance, It's Like a Game. This episode comes in fourth, A Pretty Good Deal, and then in fifth, I've Gotta Get Stronger. Now, my personal ranking list is based on entertainment value, not set values, and so I have a different score. I gave this episode another 7. I love that we got the glow up finally. I like that he's cool, calm, and collected when he arrives. I know that he is much stronger now. However, the majority of this episode is setting up his transformation and having people notice it, followed by the early entrance into the dungeon. There's no action, no fighting, no use of skills, nothing like that. He's basically standing there watching the other party fight, as he's, in this case, taking on the role of a porter, while Yu Jin-ho kind of sticks to him. And I do like Yu Jin-ho as a character, so I do like that he was introduced. So there was a lot of good things happening in this episode, but from an entertainment value standpoint, the first probably like 2/3 was pretty boring. Again, because it was setting up his transformation, setting up people noticing the transformation, and then meeting the group before they then, enter. The boss fight, of course, is in the next episode, so that one will be very exciting. But this one I felt was still in the 7 range, though it is the best episode so far, which is why I put it into first place. A Pretty Good Deal, followed by I've Gotta Get Stronger, It's Like a Game, I'm Used to It, and currently in last place, If I Had One More Chance. And that now brings us to the final segment, which is our series ranking so far. And on our mostly objective side, we have season 1 at 48 out of a possible 120 so far. And the personal side is a full 20 points behind at 28 out of a possible 120. But with that, we have now rewatched and ranked Solo Leveling Season 1, Episode 5, A Pretty Good Deal. Like and subscribe if you'd like to, and I'll see you in the next episode.